Hello, I'm Eric Janke. I'm with the Hampshire Fungus Recording Group. Today we're here to talk about the fungi that are living here. I got interested in mushrooms many years ago for the very simple reason I wanted to not poison myself when I was collecting wild mushrooms. People know mushrooms from what they buy in the supermarket or they order on top of their pizza. It's just the fruit. The actual mushroom itself is growing in the ground, out of which the mushrooms pop and get picked. Here we've got something I can tell from the stem. It's one of those mushrooms that instead of having gills has got pores. This particular one is the bay bolete, Boletus badius. Characteristically, it's got this brown bay coloured cap and the same bay coloured brown stem. It's actually a pretty good specimen, but this particular one, very dramatically, if you slice the flesh, the pores will change colour but the flesh doesn't. This is considered an edible variety. Not this one, this is past its use by date. Relatively easy to find. They're fairly big, so they do stand out. They are very common, you find it quite a lot. Go and see what this one is. Oh, okay. It's a very untypical relative of the bolete. The edge of the cap is usually folded under, and it's called a brown rollrim for that reason. This one has opened out. It's really quite old. It's Paxillus involutus, probably. The gills don't attach very well to the stem, so you can actually push them off with your fingernail. This is a species that will kill you slowly. Right. Oh, a few of those, right. So here we've got Buttercap. It's called the Buttercap because it's really waxy texture to the top. It's usually this brown colour and the gills are white, so there's a contrast. This is a very common fungus. As soon as it rains in the autumn or the late summer, you can find these, and there are quite a few. I mean, there's this one here which I've just discarded, there's this one here, and there's those two here, and hiding and sheltering them is another rollrim. There's another fungus here that's disappearing into the leaves, which goes under the name of the ugly Milk-cap Lactarius turpis, and it's quite an interesting fungus. If you cut it, you can see it produces a milk. It's bleeding. How's that? But it's a very common mushroom. Now, this may not work on this, but when it's fresh and playing ball, it will change colour when you put an alkali on it, and it goes purple. The other one down here, do you hear that? So it's the snapping bonnet Mycena vitilis, and you can do that to it. Bing, 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 bing. It's very common. So it's down there. So this is the burgundy bonnet. So I'm going to have a go at nipping the stem. Should be able to just nip it. And you can see it's got a little droplet of burgundy coloured blood oozing out of the stem. So it's Mycena hematopus. But it's a nice one. It's common. It's typically this red colour. You once you've got your eye in, you can recognise it. So what have we got over here? Oh yeah. So I don't even need a mirror on this one to look at it. But yes, that's the amethyst deceiver, which at some point, sometimes is actually white on top. But it's always got these purple, it's always purple with wide space gills. It's a really pretty looking fungus. One of the prettier ones. It's a lovely colour. Next then. This is a different bonnet. This has got a brown base, then it goes almost white by the time it gets to the top of the cap. It's a very common fungus, and it's a thing called Mycena inclinata. I don't know whether that means it's the inclined bonnet or something else. We have a stick for you. There are several kingdoms on this stick. So we have mosses growing on the stick, and we have the green, the lichens. We've also got a slime mould. And then the white stuff is a fungus. It's a Schizopora, probably Schizopora paradoxa. Very, very common fungus. It's this off-white, yellowish colour. It's actually got pores. Look, so this one. So this is a funnel cap, and it might be. I'm going to take it up, which isn't surprising because it has a vaguely funnel shape, but the gills go down the stem. Oh. It's starting to grow. The yellow colour here is another very common wood rotter. It's Stereum hirsutum, and this bright orange colour, and it can grow in great quantities. And the top surface, though there isn't a lot of it here, is hairy. It's actually got fine hairs on it, hence the hairy curtain crust. Very, very common. You find it rotting down a lot of wood. It's a fairly successful fungus. Ah yes, good. Finally worked out what it was. So when it's fresh, it's a nice purple colour. And this is silverleaf fungus. This is Chondrostereum purpureum, and it's quite pretty. It's quite a pretty colour, the Chondrostereum. Right. People used to say, you can eat any fungus once. And this is one of the examples. I say, well, go on, try eating this then. The southern bracket is really tough. This fungus is growing on the heartwood of the oak. If you look at the one down there, and they're a message from another world. It's got pores, which are white, but they're very common. There are a number of Ganodermas, but this one's the southern bracket, Ganoderma australe. In days gone by, artisans would actually take big ones of these and draw pictures. You can write messages, and they'll just stay there. Right, where next? You ready? Right, so what have we got here? This one's going to be Exidia glandulosa. It's a soft jelly-like mushroom. And it really is soft. It's like the heaviest duty blackcurrant jelly you ever come across. On this log, we've got this grey stuff is the dusky bracket, Bjorkandra adusta. That's Bjorkandra as in Bjork. Quite a different looking fungus, dark on the top. It's definitely got this grey colour to the pores. Very common, grows on these beech logs. Oh, some more lovely little bonnets. Oh, get out of it. Oh. Very clear on this one when they open up. What I'm looking for, the galleried bonnet it's got the gills that go radially out from the stem, but it also has a thing called interveining, which is where there are partial gills going between the gills, which is most easily seen with transmitted light. And then over here is, these are a thing called a foliota. And they're probably just Aurivella. There's some nice yellow on here, there's a single yellow one there. It's quite a pretty yellow thing. On the other side of the root is another milk cap. Very definitely the cap is nice and somewhat concentric, slightly greyish colour. It's not very clear, but the cap's got rings on it typically. It should have lots of milk, a reasonable amount, and that milk will go grey as it dries. This particular thing, it's, I think, the Scaly Earthball, an example of how to protect yourself from slugs. There are a whole group of fungi that do it by growing their spores inside a hard, tough, slug-proof bag. This particular one is yellowish and it's really tough and scaly. So it's got this real tough outer skin, and this is where the spores are growing. This is mildly poisonous. Yeah, again, dark gills. Yeah. More convincingly sort of almost copper coloured, with the not white gills. And it's a Brittlegill Russula, Varanowski, possibly the copper Brittlegill. And just for the reason it's Brittlegill is they really are brittle. So it's a Brittlegill because the structure that the cap is made of. I shall put it back and allow it to carry on dropping spores to be blown away in the wind, hopefully.